TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop. Come on, take me higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the morning for the Breakfast Bankroll. Today, September 24th, 2024, 1 week from today, October 1st. Get those pumpkin latte spices and all the hooligans and witches and all that good stuff ready for you today. Great show. I'm going to start off with Mr. Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks, at Wager Talk, to talk some NFL, some CFL, some NHL, less than 2 weeks to go, who he likes out of each conference, maybe some sleepers here and there. And then 10:30ish, 10:35, Scotty Webb in the batter's box, host, of course, been a partner with me forever. Trying to get a show in before the hurricane. God bless everyone down there. Potential another hurricane coming their way soon. So we'll have Scotty Webb to talk last week of baseball. Some looks at some MVP, Rookie of the Year races, and his thoughts, teams in or out in the playoffs, of course. But first, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It's free. Myself, Travis, Zach, Amber, Jay, the rest of that team will take great care of you. I promise. It's an app that you're going to want to keep on speed dial as we progress throughout the year here. Viva Tequila Seltzer, CT Bets, that team, that family, second to none. The East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. If you haven't tried one, shame on you. Go where you get all your adult beverages, and if they don't have Viva, ask why. And of course, our newest sponsor and partnership, Atlanta Steak and Seafood. Terry Smith was on with us yesterday. Great friend, colleague. If you haven't introduced yourself, head on over to Facebook and you can connect with Terry there. Follow him at Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. Tiptoe to the website. He's running a special this week. He says probably one of his biggest offers of the year. 15% off all orders of $199 or more. Those two New York strips right there. That's what I'm having today. From him, of course. I got some New York strip. I got a couple lamb chops and a pork chop. So we are super, super psyched to get that grill fired up. So head on over to Atlanta Steak and Seafood. If you're on Facebook now, connect with Terry. Tell him JD from ECSI sent you. So it's time. The Zamboni has cleared the ice. The siren's howling. And we got the star of the first half hour, Mr. Andrew McInnis. Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. You are the star, and I got a question for you.
Okay.
Are they giving me some steak all the way in Canada, or is that too far-fetched here? Those look pretty good.
OMG. He delivered from Atlanta to Cape Cod in 2 days, and I got 2 boxes. And I will tell you this, Andrew. The dry ice, I still have half bags of dry ice. That's how good they do shipping. So I will personally reach out to Terry. I know he goes as far as the Midwest. Let me see if he crosses the border. And then we'll see if we can connect you there, okay?
Sounds good to me. I love steak, so I'm always up for a cookout. So there we go.
He sent me some New York strips, some petite cowgirl. These things were like this thick on the bone. Got some filet mignons. I mean, absolutely the best quality. And Terry's the best customer service guy in the business. So we're going to get you connected real soon there, right, Andrew. Football, it's funny. I'm a numbers guy. And the numbers said to me yesterday, and we passed. The ECSI VIPs go 1-0. We had Seattle Mariners plus 115 in baseball. And in our the closing bell, I hit all 4 anytime touchdowns yesterday. We had a Jamar Chase. We had Strange from the Jaguars scoring. We had Kincaid, and I'm missing one. Who do we have on the Washington side? We were 4 for 4. So we were super stoked there. But the numbers said Jaguars not only going to cover, possible upset, Buffalo box to wire, and the numbers said Cincinnati double-digit win, and OMG, Jaden Daniels, something special there, Andrew.
Something special, and there's something that confidence can do to somebody. I mean, obviously, all these guys have confidence coming out of school and coming into the league, but all of a sudden you go from being the guy in school when you're playing NCAA to coming to the NFL, and there's so many guys above you that you just have to make that, those couple nice plays, Jeff, to kind of get your swagger back. And there's really, I don't really even like using that word, but there's no other word I can use to describe it, because you make some of these throws that, you're not making in the first couple of weeks. And when he started connecting with them, then he was able to work. And he is mobile. He can use his legs as well to escape the pocket. But, Jeff, shout out to you, because, look, my props, I'm struggling with the props, but the team total last night, I literally all day debated, do I like the Bengals spread or do I want the team total? And I said to myself, if you really like the spread, then you probably think they're going to put some points up on the board. And I ended up getting, I think it was like a minus 105 with the total that I released there over, I believe, 27.5. So you got to love that. You got to love when you have a team that lost the game and you cash that team total. But it kind of pegs the question. Look, I understand the Washington Commanders secondary is what it is, and everybody will tell you that how poor their defensive play is, Jeff. But does something about yesterday's game tell us that we should be more worried about the Bengals' defense than their offense?
1,000%. Here's something. Caleb Williams in the, let's say, August, sends out a nice little message to his punter, says, don't worry, you won't be punting much this year. And here is the Washington Commanders that haven't punted in 2 games. I mean, other than and it's just amazing. I would be absolutely pulling my hair out if I'm a Bengal fan. The defense can't stop a nosebleed right now. And Washington has weapons. They have a potential generational quarterback. Now, before we go, all hot and horny on Mr. Daniels, who I love, you love, everyone loves, they had a guy named RG3 who also set the world on fire for a year there. But I think Jaden Daniels not only went into Cincinnati, he had a little chip on his shoulder because, as he stated, from LSU, his last year, and that's all he heard about was Cool Joe, Cool Joe, Cool Joe. And he tried to separate the two, and he thought he left there with his own legacy. Obviously didn't win a championship like Joe, but the Bengals right now I think are reeling.
I think so too, and I think that it's not going to get better really anytime soon. I think it's going to be, sure they might get a W here or there, but this is a team right now that they have missing pieces. And I think that when you look at Joe Burrow and his performance yesterday, we were able to see progression. We were able to see him kind of block out the noise and try and claw back into that game. But as you mentioned, if you're having a bad game and the defense just doesn't have your back, or if some of your receivers have been in and out of the lineup, if T. Higgins was playing his first game yesterday, Jamar Chase has been quite a bit of a distraction with the contract stuff, all kinds of stuff going on. How about the running back room, Jeff, with this Bengals team? Do they have a solid run game? Can it be consistent? Joe Mixon, when he's actually been out there for the Texans, how's he been doing? Pretty good, according to my fantasy football team. So I think that they're missing some stuff right now and some pieces. But, Jeff, you know college football way better than me. But from what I've been told by people about Daniels is that it's more so the longevity people are worried about him, which – I know it sounds like kind of a poor thing to think about somebody, but I've heard, injuries could be an issue and kind of how he plays. Is that correct?
He doesn't like to slide. That one play that he slid, the announcer's like, whoa, because he doesn't like to slide. He's going to learn the hard way. And with all the injuries, the concussions, Eckler had a big touchdown, and then next thing you know, in the tent, goes to the locker room, concussions. You're going to learn quick. If you want to play long on Sundays and in the NFL, the sliding and running out of bounds is your best friend. So it's going to take some rewiring because in college, you can outrun a lot of these guys. In the NFL, forget about it. Your head's on a swivel. I just got by Andrew McInnis. I'm smiling and waving. Next thing you know, someone comes out of nowhere and cold clocks it. So you better wake up and understand that if you want to play a long time in the NFL, start sliding.
And there's been a lot of late hits I've noticed the past couple games here in the NFL, Jeff. The guy's already about to go down, and someone's flying in for another hit. So these guys got to keep their heads up.
Second game, Buffalo boxed the wire. It's kind of funny because the last 2 or 3 years, it was Buffalo was the team to beat in the AFC, and they always found a way to tap out. They get rid of Stephon Diggs. They get rid of Gabe Davis, no problem. They add Keon Coleman. James Cook has looked phenomenal. Dalton Kincaid got into the end zone yesterday. Defense playing off the charts. There's trouble in Jacksonville right now. Goldilocks looks like a deer in the headlight. They let Calvin Ridley go. They drafted an LSU guy, great guy, Brian Thomas. It's just Lawrence looks lost. The offensive coordinator looks lost. Peterson looks lost. Going to be a long year for the Jags as well there, Andrew.
It really is, and Jeff, the thing is that all we heard going into yesterday were 0-2 teams. How are these teams going to come out of it? And it's funny, I was watching with some family yesterday, and family that love sports but don't necessarily follow it day to day, and they were asking me, what are your thoughts on these games? Are we going to see a close one? And I said, well, you might get one close one, and you might get one that's not so close. And I'll be honest with you, the one that I said is going to be not so close, I thought that was going to be the Bills and Jags, I thought it was going to be the Bengals one. I thought the close one was going to be Jags and Bills. And they said, well, what kind of primetime games we got here? I mean, 2 blowouts until we saw the Bengals kind of claw back there at the end. But, it's tough to watch because this is the thing. I want to go through some of these numbers here for the Jags because, you look at Travis Etienne with 68 yards on the ground, and it's great. But to me, they don't have much of an established running game. It's usually one or two big runs that are kind of getting him over his number or getting his rushing yards number established. But, they're throwing the ball too many times, I think. 38 pass attempts for Trevor. And it feels like every time Josh Allen got the ball, he scored. You want to talk about not having to punt, Jeff? Well, when you put up 30 or 47 points, they're not punting very many times in Buffalo last night, that's for sure. And when I go through some of the box score here, Brian Thomas Jr., 5 receptions for 48 yards. I think when I think about a guy like that with 5 receptions, you got to have more than 48 yards. And when I look at Christian Kirk, 79 yards, Gabe Davis, only 18. ETN was a guy I had circled for receiving yards. He only had, I believe, he had 17. So how does a guy get 17 yards off 4 receptions? Shame on me for not playing his receptions prop and playing his receiving prop. And, of course, he easily cashed that receptions prop, but only gets me 17 yards. So, to me, the quotes that I saw out of the locker room after last week's game against Cleveland, time of possession. We have to hold on to the ball longer, pick up some first downs, move the chains. We heard people saying, we need to keep the Bills' offense off the field. And Jeff, I saw pretty much the exact opposite of that. They left the Bills' offense on the field. They did not move the chains. They looked very difficult out there. And you know what? The quarterbacks make a lot of the money, and you're right. Trevor Lawrence is not the guy right now, because if he is, he can make something out of nothing. And pretty much, this is why I'm sick and tired of people talking about Brock Purdy. And I don't want to get off track on you, but, what's the next thing people are going to say about Brock Purdy? Oh, well, imagine if he didn't have Juwan Jennings, right? Because you know what? Juwan Jennings, 2 touchdowns, even when Brock Purdy's missing some of his key guys, he's still making nice plays. So what's Trevor Lawrence going to be like without, of course, like you said, Calvin Ridley and some of these big names? I'm curious who Trevor Lawrence really is at this point.
Well, it's kind of comical. We had Bill Krakenberg on yesterday. We were breaking down the carnage of week 1, week 2, week 3. I mean, again, it's just spin, rinse, repeat. And the Circa contest where everyone ran to the window, dropped down $1,000 per entry. A lot of people got 3, 5, sometimes. Some people got 10. There's 10,000 right there. And then, of course, you got to pay your proxy service. 14,266 left the window with the dream of winning $14 million. After 3 weeks, 642 are left. The top picks in each week have gone down. The Bengals themselves losing to the Patriots week 1. Almost 5,000 people had them there. Last night, a cool 988 had them again. So the Bengals alone took out over almost 6,000 people there. So it's the NFL. It's just not for long. It's any given Sunday. But that's the league. Everyone wakes up today, shakes it off. Hey, I had a bad 3 weeks, but I'm going to get them this Sunday. You watch.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And as far as the Survivor's concerned, look, I don't have any Ralph Michaels charts in front of me, but I got to say, do you think that people are better off, picking these teams that are -3 and not -8 at this point? I feel like teams that are -4.5 are covering at a better clip right now than teams that are -8.5. I know that might sound like a ridiculous statement, Jeff, but teams definitely aren't covering that are 6+ point favorites. We've seen that. I think they only have 2 covers on the year. But at this point, if you're going into Survivor next season, after weeks 1 or 2, are you just going into it thinking, like last week, I think a popular bet for people was Houston, I think was a good one that worked out against the Bears. That was like a 5.5, I think, 5.5 or 6 point. But, I mean, you think about even last week, the Ravens, Cowboys. I lost with the Cowboys, so I'll be honest. I lost my Survivor with my buddies. I'm not in a $1,000 league, though, but with the Cowboys. And then, of course, like this week, Jeff, who can we really blame? Like, let's take a look at some of the teams that lost. And who can we really hold accountable? You know what I mean? Like, who can we really look at and say, how could you pick those guys? because I can't really blame anybody that took the Bengals this week. If you saved the Bengals for this matchup, they're 0-2, prime time, against the Commanders' leaky defense. The receivers are fully healthy. I don't know how anybody could, I guess the Niners, you got to feel bad for the Niners people because the Rams, were losing pretty much they weren't even covering for a lot of the game. But, who can we really blame this week for making the wrong pick? Because a lot of these picks, I don't really even look at them as bad picks.
Well, no, I think a lot of people blindly were going to take the Raiders over the Panthers, and the Panthers, hats off to them. They sit Bryce Young, in comes Dalton, a seasoned veteran. We know he can throw the ball. They boxed the wire, the Raiders, and then people got caught up in the Baker Mayfield hysteria. They're looking great, and they go home and insert Bo Nix, which we've been talking about for a while. They look like a total different team. So there's landmines everywhere. The teams that have made it, the 642, I don't have the number. I'll get it today. What their actual $1,000 entry is now worth with only 642. I can tell you it's probably worth probably $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 at this point. I'll have to probably do the math. It's probably 10,000 would be. It's worth a lot of money right now, so maybe they're trying to sell some shares and stocks of that. But we'll be on your channel on Friday. We'll get back into that there. CFL, I'm looking here, and it wasn't a good week for the home teams, was it?
It was not a good week for the home teams overall last week. It was a good week for the over we talked about actually last week on the show involving Saskatchewan and Calgary there. But, the one that got me the most was the Argos game from the show we had here last week on the ECSI channel. Hamilton, all three meetings against their highway rivals, the Argos, they covered it. They got the job done, and it wasn't even close as far as their covering, let alone outright winning some of these games. And so I was shocked to see them win once again. I mean, it's crazy. Hamilton has barely any wins all season, Jeff, and yet they've got 3 wins against their rivals right down the highway as they win that one 33-30. Going through another one that hats off to you because you liked it. I gave it out on a show. Shame on me for not releasing it as a best bet, but Winnipeg. I mean, if we can quote you, Jeff, I believe you said something along the lines of, this is the time of year we see the real Winnipeg. And it certainly is. And, it's funny because it feels like just yesterday that Edmonton was a team that everybody wanted to bet against. It's amazing how quickly things can change where Edmonton became a popular underdog. I guess they were sort of a popular bet when they were getting like 7 points. But if you look at a -2 point spread, -3, I know it's the CFL. There's a lot of wonky numbers. But when it comes down to it, if you bet that game, you were betting on who wins. And Winnipeg got the job done. Their defense stepped up, even without one of their key guys being out for the year. They played some really quality football, and there was one more that I'm leaving out here. Which one is it? Oh, it's the Alouettes and Red Blacks. And you know what? I'm not even going to be mad. I'm not even mad that I avoided that game because I know that if I took the Alouettes, the Red Blacks would have put up 50. That is my kryptonite. That is my team that I can't win against. It's unbelievable. I told Bobby, who I do the CFL show with on Tuesdays, I'll be doing it today at 2 o'clock Eastern time. I said, this is going to be the week that if we don't bet against Ottawa, they're going to get absolutely destroyed. And he goes, I know, but we just can't do it because we've lost so many times betting against this Ottawa team. But it was a good week, Jeff, in the CFL. People are forgetting about it. But I'd say the best one we had was probably either Winnipeg and then that over we talked about on the show last week in Saskatchewan and Calgary. Pretty much the way I figured out Calgary for us, Jeff. If we're not taking them on the spread plus the points, we're just taking the over.
Yeah, everyone lets them hang around. Hats off to the Rough Riders there. 37-29 final there. I'll get about 5 minutes, Andrew. I wanted to, before we get your pick props and thoughts for today, tomorrow, early in the week, late in the week, I got the NHL odds up there. I can't not have you on and not talk NHL, as we will drop the puck in less than 2 weeks, of course. We talked last week. Anything you're hearing? Any buzzes? I know the preseason's going on. Hats off to you and the Habs last night. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? And I know you're getting all giddy. The Zamboni getting cranked up here. We got less than 2 weeks in the NHL.
I am getting excited. I'm going to continue to say this. Utah, watch out for Utah, Jeff. This team, of course, moving from Arizona over to Utah. Right now, they're just Utah HC. I believe the name's going to be Yeti. Utah Yeti coming up here soon. They're a team to watch. Arizona was a bad team for years. Let's not sugarcoat it. They were a bad team for years. They've slowly progressed. They've made some moves. Last year, they were actually a tough out. They were that team that no matter who they played, they could put up a tough fight. They added some more pieces defensively. They added some more depth pieces in the forward position. When you look at Shane Doan's son, you got another Doan in the system now. I guess they're not playing in Arizona anymore, but still on the team. You got Schmaltz, you've got Keller, you've got so many great players out there. I think they're a team to watch. So that's one team I'm going to circle there to look out for. Everybody seems to love the Nashville Predators. I'm going to put a little bit of a slowdown sign on this Nashville Predators team. That's the team to be careful about, I would argue. Right now, at least, they're going to be a good team, but let's not kind of rush to the window to bet all the futures we can on this team quite yet. The New Jersey Devils, that's a team that we have to have circled here. They're going to be a quality team. If they can stay healthy, they're going to be a team that, and no one's talking about them. You know why? Because they're not in the Atlantic Division. When you look about the Panthers, the Lightning, the Bruins, the Maple Leafs, that's getting all the attention with how hectic that division is. Of course, I follow that because of the Canadians, but the New Jersey Devils, to me, are going to be a super exciting team. And I do have one pick I like in the NHL tonight, and it's the over 6.5 in the Habs and Devils game. The Habs played last night. They had a good defensive game. Pretty much, they're doing their exhibition where it's pretty much half returning players, half younger players, half returning players, half younger players. So last night they went 5-0, and they had no Cole, no Uri, and no Nick on their team, and they still win 5-0. I think we see a lot more goals tonight. I also think New Jersey's going to dress a respectable roster, so they're going to put some goals up as well. So we got some preseason action going on here.
Couple minutes left here, Andrew. Anything for Thursday night football? Anything early in the CFL, or is there anything that might catch your eye on the weekend, whether NFL or anything that you can give the listeners?
Jeff, Steelers, Colts. I'm going to look towards the under in that one here. I think the pressure is going to be a lot to deal with for Richardson, for the entire backfield, really, for the Colts. And I think that their offense is going to struggle a little bit. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have proved that they have no problem being in a little bit of lower scoring games. They're playing chess, not checkers. They're going to wait till you're a little worn out there in the fourth quarter. They'll take the lead. But I think the under. I also think that could be a decent teaser leg. Last week, if you had the Chargers on a teaser, God bless you. I mean, that is a real tough one after that game was real close the whole entire way, and then Pittsburgh ends up getting the job done a little bit late. My Packers, look, they're now 2.5-point favorites. What a start for this Packers team, Jeff. But I last week, I didn't have it in me to take the money line on the Packers. I took the over, and I kind of feel the exact same way here. The defense, I'm not saying I don't respect this defense, but the way Minnesota's slinging the ball right now, the way the Packers have found a way, no matter who's behind center, to score points, I kind of like the over there with them. And then there's one CFL opener that we have to attack in the Western Conference. I got to make sure that I know we have the right number here. Edmonton and Winnipeg. We're going to go under 49.5 here, Jeff. I understand Edmonton puts up points. Don't get me wrong, Edmonton's a high-scoring team, but to the point you made last week about Winnipeg and the real Winnipeg being back, they're a team that's going to win games defensively, and I always say the better team dictates the total. Winnipeg's the better team. They're going to go under, and it's a rematch of a home and home. I think we see a very similar style this week.
As we always wrap up this segment, the stage is yours. That little 7-yard button hook that you always catch, get both feet in bounds. In college we can get one. There you go, right there. Tell them what you got to offer at Wager Talk.
$5 Tuesdays. That's the new thing at Wager Talk. It's no longer $2 Tuesdays. It's everybody gets to put up one play for $5. But coming out today, Jeff, I've got a preseason NHL plus the first month of the season special for hockey. Look, if you guys don't want to put up the money for the full season right now, you want to see how I'm going to do this year and how well prepared I am coming into this season, join me for the preseason. Join me for the first month of the season, and you can decide after that if you want to buy my full entire season. That, to me, is the way to go, guys. I've had years where I've been huge, way up, big money. I've had years where I've been down. You guys can find out in the first month how dialed in I am for this season with that preseason plus first month of the regular season package. Getting that over at wagertalk.com. So I'm excited. And hockey's here, Jeff. I can't wait. The preseason means hockey's here for me.
Go follow Andrew at McInnis Picks. Get all his work at Wager Talk. Myself and Andrew will be back on his channel Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock his time. Andrew, we can't thank you enough. We will catch up soon, my brother.
Thanks, Jeff. Have a good day.
Take care. One and only Andrew McInnis. Go follow him, of course, at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk. Go jump in right now. Listen, I've been doing shows with him forever. Trust me, he's the best in the business. No one works harder. Props, team totals, futures. You want to get in now so you can be a part. You can start adding to that portfolio. So we're going to go take a quick second commercial, and on deck, the master of ceremony, Mr. Scotty Webb. We'll be right back. Trying to add that. It looks small down there. Right down below, Atlanta Steak and Seafood, Terry Smith. If you're not following, head on over to... actually, I can do this. Let me see if I can do this. Nope. I'm trying to be I'm trying to do everything here. I apologize, guys. Go head on over. Meet Terry at Atlanta Steak and Seafood. Head on over to the website. Use the word customer at the checkout and the promo and get 15% off any order over $199. Any questions, head over to Facebook. Follow Terry Smith. Tell him JD sent you from ECSI. Now, we're trying to beat a hurricane, I guess, here. And we got 6 days of baseball left until the playoffs in the World Series. So let's bring him in. The one and only Mr. Scotty Webb. Good morning, sir.
Hey, man, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. It is what it is. It's life in Florida, these hurricanes and stuff. But, whatever. It's you just wake up and go read the reports and then, you make sure your generator works.
Well, we got 6 days left of baseball, and our good friend, Mr. Lucky, is, tweeting, retweeting. He time-stamped my talk about the Tigers in March and what of August and September these guys have been. We talked about the Royals. I talked 6-7 weeks ago about the Braves not making the playoffs. Look out for the Mets. Scotty, 6 days left. What are you seeing? Who do you think's in? Who do you think's out?
Well, I think it's interesting. The reason I think it's interesting is because the team that I'm most disappointed in is the Minnesota Twins. I think the Minnesota Twins could have been and probably are the best team in that league. I mean, I don't I don't have much. Like if I look at my numbers in terms of how I rank these teams, and you get base runs involved, so you got luck involved and stuff in there. I'm looking at the Cleveland Guardians as a 500-ish team. They're 12 games that they should have lost that they actually won based on sequencing of events, and that tells me that. And think about their rotation and what they have, and their best pitchers like Matthew Boyd. I mean, come on. So I'm not impressed with that division, even though that division is going to get two teams in. Well, really three teams. They're going to get the division winner, and they're probably going to get two other teams in that division. And what I'm disappointed in is that Minnesota might not be one of them now. Looking at what's left, Minnesota plays 3 games with Miami. They need to sweep all 3 games, but you just say that, and they played Boston, and they can't beat Boston. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out for them. The series price for the Minnesota Twins is minus 325. That's the series price. So it's the biggest price on the board of these prices that matter, these series that matter, of all the teams. So theoretically, they're going to win. So then you got to look and say, all right, well, what does Detroit have? Well, Detroit has Tampa Bay, and they're minus 245 to win the series, and a lot of that has to do with Skubal pitching today. So then they only got to win one more game, and then they win the series. So in Tampa Bay, they're a 500-ish team trying to do whatever they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. They're still hanging around. And then you go and say, all right, well, what do the Royals have? Well, the Royals have at Washington, which is their series price is minus 170. So it's the shortest one of the bunch. And then, okay, so now you look at it and you go, well, maybe the Royals don't have the greatest chance here. Well, the next series that the Royals play is at the Braves. And, the Braves are trying to get in the playoffs too. So that's going to be those 3 games. Well, these 6 games for the Royals are important. And what have the Royals done? They've just went out and lost like 7 straight games. So I'm not convinced that the Royals are going to make it. And the Twins can make a big run here against the Royals. And the Royals may be the outside looking in because the Tigers are in. The Tigers play the Braves. The series price is minus 245, and then they got 3 with the White Sox, Jeff. So I think the Tigers are in. I think the Royals could be a team that's on the outside looking in, and I think the Twins can pass them, and they can make it in.
I was talking to a good friend and colleague yesterday, and I've said this for a while now. We talk about the Orioles preseason, pre-flop, spring training. A lot of us had them winning the East. Couldn't figure out what the hell's going on with the Yankee prices. The books were real bullish on the Yankees. And even right around the All-Star break, Orioles got a couple game lead. Yankees are still favored, and I'm scratching my head. I'm like, man, these guys are bullish on these guys. And let's just say the Orioles have been leaking oil for a while. And my friend said, he made a great point, is young teams are pressing. They haven't had a clutch hit in a long time. They couldn't get an extra base hit right now, standing on second, hitting off a tee, Scotty. And I saw one of the breakdowns there with the Royals when they were playing good, matching up with the Orioles first round, and I had already moved the Royals ahead. Whoever's playing the Orioles in the first round, I will guarantee you I will have whoever's playing them, I will be betting against the Orioles first round.
Well, the Orioles are a strange group because theoretically they're just a fun group of kids and a fun group of guys, and when they hit, they score tons of runs and they're doing all kinds of fun things and they're playing together. But they've been, where they ran into problems a couple months back, and I don't know if it's been that long, but maybe it's more like 6 weeks. Henderson was considered one of the, Gunnar Henderson. He was an MVP kind of candidate. He's not being talked about that anymore. He's made, I don't know, I'd have to go look, but he's one of the worst defensive shortstops in terms of errors in the league. And then he quit hitting, and he's not stealing any bases. And, he was one of these guys that was leading the league in home runs there for a while. And, he's not done that. And then Adley Rutschman, I love the kid. I love both of those players. But Adley Rutschman went into a big dive and a big slump. And, those two guys batted second and third in their lineup. And then they had to move them around, and they had to change things around. And then, Henderson, they moved him to first, leadoff spot, and they trying to find a spot for Rutschman to play. So they had to move him out. The Santander's been the guy that's been the clutch guy. Now, he's still batting, I think, like 230 or 240 or something like that. But he's got almost 40 home runs. So he's been very clutch for them too. But they lost Cowser for a while, and I think he's going to be the American League Rookie of the Year. So they really haven't had total consistency from these kids, and I get all of that stuff, but the problem with thinking the way I think that most people are thinking about the Orioles. They got there a year early last year. They weren't supposed to be there last year, so they have that experience in terms of what it takes to win these kind of games. My concern with the Orioles isn't their offense, so to speak, because look, 162 game season, teams are built to withstand the ups and downs of a season. You don't have ups and downs in the season when you get into the playoffs. You better have a shutdown bullpen, and you got to have starters that get you 5 innings, and not give up but 1 run. I mean, that's the way it works. So offensively, you can have whatever edges you want. That's not how it works. You need to have pitching when it comes to the playoffs. And that's my concern about where the Orioles are. The Orioles, Corbin Burns is supposed to be, one of these big time aces. And, he's a decent starter these days. And he's an ace. I'll say that. But I don't think at this point he's a dominant pitcher. He's not a guy that's going to go out there and strike out 12 guys. That's not who he is. Where, even at the age that they are, Chris Sale going out there, he can strike out 12 guys in a playoff game. So when I'm looking at this, then you have, you've got Burns and then Eflin. Now Eflin's one of these guys that he's going to go out there and give you a quality start. But again, he's not one of these big strikeout guys. And, in the playoffs, balls in play matter. And if you're going to be a team that's going to win in the playoffs and you face a pitcher that you can't put balls in play against, your chances of winning are diminished. And the Braves just don't, or the Braves. The Orioles don't have those kind of pitchers. If they were to get Grayson Rodriguez back, I think that would help that team because he's a strikeout guy. He's a guy that balls and plays wise would help, but he's a young guy, makes mistakes, so they can hit home runs. So it's an interesting team to look at. I'm not going to write off the Orioles though. The Orioles, in terms of where the numbers come out on them. They basically are 2 games to disfavor in terms of unlucky in terms of sequencing. So theoretically, and then the Yankees are 4 games to favor. So the way these 2 teams shake out is they're kind of even, in terms of how you look at them. And the way I look at them is Yankees have 2 guys you have to get out. And then then you beat them. I think the way the Yankees shape up, they're going to need Garrett Cole to be Garrett Cole that he used to be, and they're going to need Heel to have rested and be able to be strong because and Clark Schmidt pitches today. So if Clark Schmidt's going really good, maybe they've got something in terms of that. But their bullpen's been pretty shady. You can't open that bullpen door and have 98 to 100 walking in every single pitcher from the Yankees, and some teams do that. Most teams do that are going to win in the playoffs. So I'm not totally sold on what's going on. I pulled up the chart, and the chart looks like this right now. If you were to look at the playoffs, you have Detroit playing Houston, the winner that goes and plays the Guardians. I think either one of those teams can beat the Guardians. Mm-hmm. And then you have right now the Royals play the Orioles, and then they go play the Yankees. I'm not sure that the Royals are going to give the Yankees a run for their money. I just don't think they can. Now they got some pitching, but I just don't know how that's going to play out. With other than Bobby Witt, what do they have, to do anything with? So I think the Yankees at least have a favorable there. But the Orioles and the Yankees would be a good matchup, and see how that plays out. But I'm not so sure that you're not going to see Twins in those spots because, like I said before, I think the Twins getting Miami is a big advantage, and then they get Baltimore and the Yankees. All the Yankees have to do is win one game, and they're in a series right now against the Orioles. And if they win one of these games, they win. So then all of a sudden, what are the Orioles playing for? So I think that you've got an advantage for the Twins, and then the Royals are going to play Washington, who's a team that just wants to, show off and be good and blah, 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 whatever the young kids play. And, maybe they go out and do something good. And then they got to play the Braves. So those are going to be competitive to all beat hell with the Braves. So I'm not so sure that the Royals make it. But whatever. Anyway, that being said, it's a hard – I think the American League is going to be very difficult to get through because my opinion is that even though the Houston Astros aren't going to have the best record going into this, they're going to have the most dominant pitching staff. And they got Kyle Tucker back at the right time. I think the Houston Astros can come out of the American League and be good because they got guys that can come out of the bullpen and throw 100 miles an hour, 3 or 4 of them. So I think that when it comes to what you want from a playoff team, I think the Houston Astros are probably where you want to be in the American League.
We're witnessing history. We're witnessing Babe Ruth on steroids. Shoei 50-50. He says, hold my beer. Maybe we'll go 60-60, 55-55. What he is doing is absolutely remarkable. Almost to the point where I'm like saying, Shoei, just DH. We don't need you to pitch anymore. Just concentrate on hitting. Talk about Shoei for a second. It's just absolutely mind-boggling what this kid is doing.
Well, there's no question about that. I think that, it's amazing, number one, that let's just say it this way. So Shohei Ohtani being in Los Angeles prior to being a Dodger, right? He was in the limelight, so to speak, but not necessarily like what he is today. Like he's a superstar, and everybody knew he was anyway. But now he's on the Dodgers, and the Dodgers being that blue blood team, and also having all of the hoopla around it, he's excelling like he loves it, and that's great because baseball needs that kind of a player, and he's a polite guy. He's not an aggressive, mean-spirited guy. He's fun to watch. And the only thing I would suggest to people is don't forget that this guy throws a fastball at close to 100 miles an hour, and his earned run average is in the neighborhood of low 3s, if not below 3. he can be a Cy Young pitcher. So don't forget he's one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Period. And he's also at this point one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. Period. And I think that what he's done with the Dodgers has been a little bit more unique because I used to think of him as a great player in the Angels lineup, but because Trout was always hurt or this was going on or that was going on with that team, there was so much relied on him that he had to come up with all the clutch hits and he had to do all the clutch things to win games. And he really didn't necessarily come through more often than he didn't. Well, think about what he's doing with the Dodgers. He was winning games single-handedly for the Dodgers. And you go out there and get, 3 home runs, 4 home runs, and 10 RBIs and 2 stolen bases and, whatever the hell else he did that game. The reality is nobody does that, especially at this level. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day, and these are the best players in the world. The KBO isn't close. The Japanese leagues aren't close as an overall whole. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's good players in these leagues, but this is the best baseball in the world, like in the world. And when you have this kind of a standout performance, there's one thing that separates these guys more than anything else, and that's tough-mindedness. It's the will to win and the attitude to perform, and then you are tough-minded to go do it. Remember what happened to Shohei at the beginning of the season, right? He got caught up in that whole gambling scandal stuff and all that. He could have really took a huge nosedive, and we could be sitting here going, oh, look, the Dodgers paid $1 billion to have this guy come over, and he's batting .230, and he only hit 30 home runs, and he's got 200 strikeouts and blah, blah, blah. We could be, because some guys aren't mentally tough enough to handle all of that. And he did, and he is. And not only did he do that, he's excelling to the degree in which it's just amazing to watch some of these guys perform at that level on those performances. I have the Dodgers as the best team. And I get that there's going to be an issue because I don't know who in the hell they're going to pitch. I just don't know what's going on. I had thought that they were going to be okay because I thought looking at I'll get to that slot in a second. The looking at the chart, I hate the way it works in the National League right now because it's divided. It's divided in a sense that the way it is set up, you got Mets play the Padres, and then the winner of that series plays the Dodgers. Well, shit, anybody can win those games. But that's almost like an NL West series, almost seems like. And then on the other side, you got the Diamondbacks play the Brewers, and then the winner of that series plays the Phillies. Okay, well, that's almost like an Eastern thing in a West. I would love it to be all shuffled around a little bit more. I get that the fact that it's all about wins and numbers and and all that just seems a little weird that way. But I have Dodgers as the best team, but not by very much. I have Dodgers and then Phillies, and then you can start bringing in American League teams. I think the Phillies are going to be tough to beat at home with that crowd, with that environment, and those guys getting all jacked up about that stuff. And Mets and Braves are really trying to get there, and Mets play the Braves 3 times. Braves got to win almost all those games. Matchup-wise, line-wise, it's Atlanta series price -160, and then after that they got to play the Royals, and then the Mets, they have Atlanta and then Milwaukee. So it's not like an easy cake road to beat Milwaukee, but at the same time, what's Milwaukee got to play for? So it's going to be I don't know how that's going to shake out for Atlanta. I don't think Atlanta makes it in. I think Atlanta. I don't think they're going to sweep the Mets. That's what they're clearly going to have to do, and then they're going to have to go after they do that. They're going to have to sweep the Royals. I mean, they're going to have to win all these games. because the Mets, they're in a position where they're going to play the Brewers at the end, and the Brewers don't care. They don't have nothing to play for. So that puts them in a different spot, I think. And the Mets can go in there, and even if they get swept, I think they're tied because I think it's like 3 games right now. So I think then you look at it and you go, man, I don't know how this is all going to shake out, but I think the Braves are out.
My love affair for the Tigers, what makes them so dangerous is what we talked about before the first pitch, Cy Skubal, and they were going to slowly shut him down at 3 innings, 4 innings. Well, now they're in the race, and when they can throw him out there, there's a big pitching matchup. I look in the American League. I don't care if it's Garrett Cole. I don't care if it's Verlander. Just keep listening to him. I'm giving the edge to Skubal there. When I go to the National League, I know on paper the Dodgers are the best team. I get that. I don't see Oral Hershiser. I don't see Fernando Valenzuela. I don't see Bob Gibson. I have no idea who the hell they're going to throw. It's going to roll out the ball. The first 1 to 7 is probably going to win those games. The Phillies have been there. They've done that. I know they got the names. I know they got Wheeler. I know they got Nola. And that place is electric in the playoffs. I get that. I do. The Mets, you talk about Peterson, the way he's been pitching. I think the momentum that they bring in, and if they get in, are a dangerous team. But I'm telling you, I'm sticking to my guns here, what I talked about months ago. I think on paper, between hitting, pitching, and defense, the Padres are live, Scotty.
Oh, I don't discredit that. Like, when you let's say it this way, if you can put a good Dylan Cease on the mound when he's throwing good, he's as good as anybody. I mean, he's a 98-mile-an-hour fastball guy that can get you 10 to 12 strikeouts in a game. Then you follow that up with a good Musgrove. Musgrove good is he's not as good as anybody, but when he's good, he gets a lot of outs and he wins a lot of games. The problem that I'm going to run into with them, and it's not a problem. I mean, when you only need 2 guys, and you need to be able to ride 2 hot guys. And if those 2 guys are hot, then they're in good shape. But Darvish is a big question mark, because if he's real good, they got 3 dominant starters. I don't know that anybody can go out there and say that they got 3 dominant starters, even the Phillies, because Wheeler's going to be good. He is. He's going to be good. But after Wheeler, you've got Ranger Suarez who gets hit. And I get it that he won a lot of games and he was great at the beginning of the season, come back off the disabled list, and he hasn't been the same pitcher, and he's been getting hit a lot. And Nola, Nola's either putting the ball in the right spot and getting outs, or he's putting it in the wrong spot and he's getting hit, because he doesn't have 98-mile-an-hour fastball stuff. He's got a curveball that gets him out. And then you have Christopher Sanchez behind that. And I think if I'm the Phillies, I know that Nola's got all the experience in the world, but the best pitchers the Phillies have, I'm putting Wheeler out there number 1. I'm going to put Sanchez out there number 2, and I'm going to go Nola number 3. And Ranger Suarez doesn't get the pitch. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It is what it is. But I don't think that they'll do it that way. I think they'll put the more experienced guys out there and let them come through. So I don't disagree with that. I think the Phillies are so inconsistent on their batting lineup and not lineup, but the way the hitters work. If Schwarber's on, okay, they're going to be hard to beat, because Schwarber can hit and he can get on base and he can do some different things, followed by Turner and then Harper. And if those guys are hitting and they're all good, and Bohm is hitting, they're all good. Castellanos is hitting, and you throw in Real Muto, that's a very deep, very good lineup. But when they're not hitting, Jeff, they're easy outs. Those guys, when they're not hitting, they make outs like boom, 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 boom. And that's not necessarily the case with the way the Padres work. They got a guy that bats leadoff that bats 300, and he's going to be consistent. He's going to be consistent the whole time through. And then what the kind of the question mark I have is Tatis, because Tatis hasn't been good for a little while. Now he's hitting again. He's playing with a little more energy. He's doing pretty good. And if he can be superstar MVP level type Tatis, they got 2 or 3 of those guys now, because Machado is going to be good in the playoffs. This kid Merrill is going to probably win the National League, MVP. If they can get anything out of Cronenworth, they can get anything out of the guy they got from Bogarts. They're just as deep as like the Phillies and stuff. But I will say this. This is what I'll say. Ain't none of them. It doesn't matter who they are. They ain't none of them match what the Dodgers put out there in their first 3. There's none of them. No. You put Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. Ain't none of them do that. Those 3 guys are all 100 RBI guys, all 30s or 40 home run type guys. They're none of those other teams can match that. And if you're behind early against the Dodgers and the Dodgers bullpen's working, because shit, who knows? That bullpen is holy crap. It's a crapshoot. They might be the one team that goes deep with their starters. I don't know. Well, that's probably not true. I pulled up the Dodgers to give you an idea of their starters right now. Their starters are Flaherty, Buehler, Yamamoto, and Knack. That's who they got. I mean, you cannot tell me that's going to win the World Series. I get it. Flaherty's pretty good. As it goes, for some teams, he's their number 1. He's not a number 1 on a playoff contending team. He's a number 2, a strong number 2, and that's what you wanted, right? Because you've got they're guys that are hurt right now. Glasnow, Kershaw, Gavin Stone. Those guys have to pitch, and I thought Glasnow was going to be ready to go, but they still got time. I don't know if he's going to be ready to go or not. I'm trying to see if he's got elbow tendonitis. Okay, my elbow's sore. Oh, well, who gives a shit? Get out there and pitch.
Scotty Webb, weather permitting, back at 6:15 for In the Batter's Box tonight?
Oh, I'll be on tonight. And I'll probably be on tomorrow night. The issue is going to run into more Thursday than it is any other day. And just look, it could be a problem on Wednesday. That's when the storm comes by up here. This is a bad one. This is not a good storm. This is going to be called Helene. This is going to be at minimum a Category 3 storm. It could balloon into something bigger than that. And right now it skirts me. I get the fringe of it, so I'm going to have 100-mile-an-hour winds here for just a brief time, and that should be on a Thursday. But if it wobbles to the right, meaning going back east some, this could be really bad for me. So I spent a little bit of time yesterday, getting some supplies and doing some things and trying to get some things right. So I'm hopeful, and not that I want this to go destroy somebody else, but shit, I don't want to destroy me, for God's sakes. So when it comes to the wind damage and all that stuff and all that, I'm not really. I mean, I have a new house, and it's I don't know what they call it, block construction. So I don't think I'm going to have any issues there. But you're out. When stuff like this happens, I've dealt with this so many times. And being in the West Palm Beach when I was on that side of the state, shit, I should move back over there. They're not getting hit at all anymore. But when I was over there, we had no power for 10 to 14 days. I'm hopeful that stuff like that doesn't happen, but this is a catastrophic storm. It can be, and it's gonna ramp up so fast and move so fast. That's the best part, is it doesn't linger and hang out and just blow you over. It just comes in and says, "Hey, here I am," and then goes away, and then you go clean up the leaves.
Scotty, we can't thank you enough. We'll see you back at 6:15. God bless you and your family. Stay close. Keep us on speed dial, will you?
Hey, no problem. Thank you. And thanks for tuning in and having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll get you on every week, and then we're going to make sure during the playoffs we might be getting you in every day or every other day. How's that sound?
I'm all good.
All right. The one and only Scotty Webb. Go follow him at Webby20MLB. Website at MLB-daily.com. You can catch him on this channel at 6:15 tonight in the batter's box, and again tomorrow as well. I'm going to go to a quick 30-second commercial and wrap this up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop, come on, baby, higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
Give a shout out to our two guests today, part of the ECSI family and network. They've been here forever. Mr. Andrew McInnis, go follow him at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk. Guys, if you like hockey, it's all about the long term. Run on over to Wager Talk. Jump in for the preseason and the first month. After that, go all the way through Stanley Cup. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. We have Andrew on every Tuesday, right around 10 a.m. And I'm back on his network, 10 a.m. on Fridays. So go check out Andrew. And, of course, Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. Analytics, he breaks it down second to none. Former MLB catcher, claim to fame throughout Ken Griffey Jr. His claim to fame there. Wishing everyone in Florida to be safe with the storm coming. 5 o'clock, the closing bell with myself and Riley Magnuson. We'll get you caught up. We'll talk about the two games last night in the NFL, get you caught up in the MLB, and maybe take a peek at Thursday night's games as well. And at 6:15, Scotty Webb and in the batter's box. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, we can't thank you enough. Have a blessed day. Behave yourselves, and we'll see you soon.